Hello everyone, and welcome to the final episode of my Super Wooden GP2 lab testing series, where I drive every car in Super Wooden GP2 so you don't have to. Today we will focus on 3 classes, B, A and S, as they are so small that I decided to put them together. For more info about the testing, I invite you to watch the introduction video available in the description, or to look at the spreadsheet in the comments, where I put all the useful data about each car. Anyway, let's start with the B class for every vehicle ranging from 701 to 800 horsepower. And to no one's surprise, the Milan Axiom occupies the last place. With a 44.185, this car just doesn't have the pace to compete with the other cars of its class. And it still doesn't turn just like in the previous episode. This car, I really don't recommend it. Since I don't have much to say about this car, I'm gonna share some stats about the testing. So in total I've tested exactly 200 cars, and I've tested them in 436 different setups, which means that in total I have made over 4,000 laps of this circuit. The total price of every car combined is 8,408,680 credits, and when you add all the upgrades, it's over 13 million credits. Throughout this series I've shown 260 lap times exactly. But anyway, let's go back to the testing with the 5th place in the B class, the Raven Supercat with a 41.023. This car is much slower than any other car in this class, unfortunately, apart from the Axiom, and it's not great. It's actually the easiest to drive in my opinion, but it's really slow compared to the others. It really lacks the cornering abilities and acceleration. This car is more on pace with the Nanwolf Thunder than with the cars ahead in the B class. Next in 4th place we have the Cinder Lazarus, which gets us 39.776, the first sub 40 that we are seeing in the series. This car is very heavy and stiff to drive, but it has a very good top speed. It's the best top speed in the game, and yeah, this car is basically pretty good on high speed tracks like Saturnring and Plattsburgh. It's just the best car for these tracks, but for more complex tracks I really don't recommend it. Also, even on Saturnring and Plattsburgh, this car can sometimes have some weird behavior, sometimes steering on its own while you're not even steering. It doesn't really like it. It feels like there is some bumps on the road that you don't see with this car, so you have to be very careful when you drive it. Next, in 3rd place, we have the Raven Muteki GT1 with a 39.574. This car is one of the cheapest options for the prototypes. It handles pretty well, but it lacks a bit of grip. The top speed is decent, but yeah, the grip is missing. It handles a bit like a car from a previous class, to be honest. It's quite fun to drive. In 2nd position we have the Milan Promettre, which gets a 39.046, which makes any car before this one basically useless, because this car is much quicker than the Muteki or the Lazarus, and it's actually the cheapest prototype. It only lacks the top speed. The gearbox upgrade only partially solves this issue, but at least the car is very grippy. It has a very good acceleration. It's a bit difficult to drive though, it's a bit stiff, but it has the grip. It has the grip, and the lap time I got here could have been better. I kinda messed up the final turn. I could have been like 1 or 2 tenths faster, but that doesn't change the outcome anyway. Because in 1st place we have the Raven Kojama with the 38.787, and yeah, this car is very grippy. It's actually not too complicated to drive, and it's a very good all-rounder. In terms of top speed, it's slightly better than the Promettre, but it's still one of the worst top speed in the class. But it's very decent. It's decent enough. It's a very good all-rounder for the B class, and I really recommend this car. It's also not too expensive for the class, compared to, for example, the Lazarus and the Supercat, which are a lot more expensive. I mean, 10k more. But yeah, that's it for the B class. Now we're gonna move on to the A class, I guess. And we unsurprisingly start with the Milan Axiom, with an extra engine upgrade compared to the previous time we've seen it. This time it gets a 43.534. This car doesn't turn, again, it still doesn't turn since the last time. I really don't recommend the car, it's pretty much useless, let's be honest. Next in second place we have the Soup Hercule, which gets a 39.794, and this car is actually on pace with the prototypes. It's just not as fast as the fastest prototypes, it's more like on pace with the Lazarus. It's very fun to handle. It's a very fun car to drive, the handling is quite interesting. It handles quite well, but not that well at the same time. I don't know how to explain it, but it's quite a fun car. It's unfortunate that its only use is in the Oval Series. But anyway, the first place for the A-Class is for the Cinder Wunder GT, which gets a 38.785. So if you remember just a few seconds before when I shown the Kojama got a 38.787. So this is actually very close, but the Wunder GT is actually the fastest car in the game by only 2 milliseconds. This is absolutely crazy. It's also the most expensive car in the game as well, 350,000, but it is a good car. This is a good car. It's basically like the Kojama in terms of pace, it just has that extra bit of top speed. It's a very good all-rounder, just like the Kojama. So yeah, I really recommend to get this car as well. It's a bit slower without the upgrades though, so I really recommend the upgrades. Without them it really doesn't compete with the Kojama. And now for the final car of the series, the only car in the S-Class, the Vijuda MPX, which gets a 42 seconds and 333 milliseconds. This car is extremely hard to drive. Basically, when you start turning, it doesn't turn, and the more you hold the steering, the more it will turn. So that's very difficult to correct your mistakes. And so in the global leaderboard, this car only plays in 10th place. It could probably do better, but this is such a difficult car to drive that I don't think it's very relevant. And you can't compare it to other cars really, because it's on its own class, it's not eligible for any event. Yeah, there is basically not much you can do with it, you can only do time trials. And in time trials it's only competing against itself, so it's not a very useful car, and it's very difficult to drive, but it's an interesting experience. So that's it for this episode and for the series. This is the end finally, after showing 260 lap times with 200 different cars. It's finally done. I hope you enjoyed this series. I really hope it has been useful to you. You can subscribe and like the video if you find this interesting. I'm still planning to do some more Super Wooden content in the future. I have a lot of ideas, and if you're curious about these ideas, I encourage you to subscribe to be notified when this happens. The spreadsheet for all the stats, the spreadsheet is in the comments. I encourage you to check it out if you want more details. You can also check out my Twitch channel where I often stream racing games related content. So yeah, thank you for watching, take care and see you next time.